If saving money feels harder than it should, you're not lazy. You're not bad with money. Your brain is literally working against you. There's a concept in behavioral psychology called present bias. Your brain treats money you have right now as significantly more real and valuable than money you might have in the future. $100 today feels more important than $200 a year from now, even though the math says take the 200. This is why budgets fail. This is why you know you should save and still don't. It's not a willpower problem. It's a brain wiring problem. And the good news? There are specific tricks that work with that wiring instead of fighting it. 7 of them. Each one designed around how your brain actually works, not how financial advisors wish it worked. And every single one of these starts where you actually are, not where you think you should be.
Trick 1. The separate account, and why the name matters more than the amount. Here's the problem with keeping everything in one account. When all your money is together, the spending money, the bill money, the would-be savings, your brain can't distinguish between them. It all just looks like available money. And available money gets spent. The fix is brutally simple. Open a second account, ideally at a completely different bank from your main one. Make it slightly harder to access, and give it a name that means something. Not savings account, something real. Emergency shield, future fund, first investment. Something that your brain registers as, this money has a purpose. This money belongs somewhere. Here's why this works on a psychological level. Your brain uses something called mental accounting. Money in different accounts doesn't just feel different, it behaves differently in your mind. Money labeled for a purpose is significantly harder to spend casually than money sitting in a general checking account.
And here's the part that actually keeps people going. When you start at 0 and watch the number grow, even from 20 to 40 to 80, that progress feels like points in a game. The number going up is genuinely motivating. The number going down feels like losing. And that feeling, completely irrational, completely real, becomes its own protection for the money. Start with whatever amount you won't miss. For some people, that's $20. For some people, it's $5. The amount is almost irrelevant in the beginning. The habit and the separate container, those are what matter.
Trick 2. Pay yourself first. And why the timing of the transfer is everything. Most people save what's left after spending, and most people have nothing left after spending. The sequence is the problem. When you try to save at the end of the month, every other expense has already competed for that money. By the time you check the account and ask, is there anything left? Usually there isn't. Flip the sequence. The moment your paycheck arrives, the first transfer goes to savings. Not after rent, not after groceries, first, before the brain knows the money is there. This works because it removes the decision entirely. You don't have to feel motivated. You don't have to remember. You don't have to choose saving over spending in real time, which is exactly when your brain is worst at making that choice. The system makes it for you before the choice exists.
Think about how a 401k works. The money never appears in your checking account. You never see it, never touch it, and remarkably, most people adjust their lifestyle to whatever lands in their checking account without even noticing. The 401k money might as well not exist for spending purposes, and that's exactly what makes it grow. Apply the same principle to any savings goal. Automate it first. Let everything else adjust around what remains. $100 a month automated, invested consistently for 10 years, becomes over $17,000. $200 a month becomes over $34,000. Same income, different timing of the transfer.
Trick 3. The round number trick, where saving becomes a side effect of wanting clean numbers. Your bank account shows $347.83. That number means nothing to your brain. It's just messy. No emotional response.
Now move $7.83 to your savings account. Your checking now shows $340 exactly. Your brain? Satisfied. Oddly, irrationally satisfied, but satisfied. That's it. That's the whole trick. Your brain is wired to prefer round numbers. There's a measurable sense of completion when numbers are clean, and you can use that irrational preference to generate savings without ever making a conscious decision to save. Every time you glance at your account, move whatever it takes to get to a round number. It goes to savings. Your checking stays clean, and every few days, you've moved money you won't miss.
The average person moving $10 to $25 per rounding, done a few times a week, generates $300 to $600 a month in savings. Not from a budget, not from discipline, from wanting a neat-looking number. You weren't saving. You were tidying up. And the savings grew anyway.
Trick 4. Rename your pain. Convert price to hours of your life. Money is abstract. Your brain doesn't fully process what $30 means in real terms, but your brain understands time very clearly. Here's the conversion. Take your hourly take-home rate, what you actually earn after tax per hour worked. Divide any purchase price by that number. That's how many hours of your life that purchase costs. A $6 coffee. If you take home $15 an hour, that's 24 minutes of your life. Fine, maybe worth it. A $45 shirt, 3 hours of your life. Still worth it for something you'll wear regularly.
An $80 dinner, 5.5 hours of your life. Is this dinner worth 5.5 hours? Sometimes yes, for a real occasion. Sometimes that question changes the answer. You're not trying to make yourself feel guilty about every purchase. You're just making the cost real in a currency your brain actually understands. Most purchases survive this question. The ones that don't, the automatic purchases, the lazy purchases, the I'm just going to grab something purchases, those are where the money leaks. And seeing them in hours instead of dollars is often enough to pause and reconsider. That pause is where savings come from. Trick 5. Pick the debt strategy that matches your psychology, not just the math. If you have multiple debts, there are 2 main approaches, and choosing the wrong one for your brain type can make you quit entirely. The debt avalanche. You attack the highest interest rate debt first, pay minimums on everything else, channel every extra dollar to the most expensive debt mathematically. This saves the most money in total interest paid. In this example, about $1,800 more saved compared to just making minimum payments. But here's the psychology problem. If your highest interest debt also has a large balance, you might be working on it for a year before you feel any visible progress. And that feeling of no progress is the #1 reason people abandon a debt payoff plan. The debt snowball. You attack the smallest balance first, regardless of interest rate. You get your first debt completely eliminated in months. That win, even on a small balance, creates real momentum. Your brain rewards completion, and each completed debt makes the next one feel more possible. The snowball costs slightly more in interest over the full payoff, but it has a dramatically higher completion rate because the wins keep coming. Here's the actual rule. If your smallest debt is also your highest interest debt, obvious choice. If your smallest debt has a low interest rate, the snowball still might be worth it for the psychological momentum it creates. The best debt strategy isn't the one with the best math. It's the one you actually stick with long enough to finish.
Trick 6. The $5 rule. And why starting impossibly small is actually the smartest move. Most personal finance advice starts with percentages. Save 20% of your income. If you take home $2,800 a month, that's $560 a month into savings. For a lot of people, that number feels impossible right now. And when something feels impossible, most people don't do a scaled down version. They do nothing. And nothing is the problem. Here's the permission you didn't know you needed. Start with $5. Not 50, not 20, 5.
$5 per paycheck. That's it. Open the separate account, put in $5, done. Week 1 complete. Here's why this works psychologically. When the bar is low enough that failure is essentially impossible, your brain stops creating resistance. The resistance is what stops most people, not the lack of money. The feeling of "I can't do this" is the actual barrier. $5 removes it entirely. And here's what happens almost every time. Someone who starts at $5 is at 20 or 30 within a few months because the habit is running. Because watching the number go up, even from 5 to 10 to 25, feels good enough to continue because they've already proved to themselves they can do it. The first dollar saved is worth more than the $1,000 plan you never started. Trick 7, the phantom payment. The most powerful wealth building trick that almost nobody uses. Here's the setup. You pay off a debt, a car loan, a credit card, any recurring payment you've been making. The payment is gone. $320 a month suddenly freed up. For most people, that $320 disappears into the lifestyle within 60 days, not through any conscious decision, just through a gradual expansion of spending to fill the available space. More groceries, more dinners, more subscriptions. The money finds its way out without you ever choosing where it went. The phantom payment trick. The moment any recurring payment ends, immediately redirect the exact same dollar amount to a savings or investment account. Set it up the same day, the same amount, the same schedule.
Here's why this works so well. You were already living without that $320 available to spend. For months or years, you made your life work around that payment, leaving every month. Your lifestyle was already calibrated to not having it. Redirecting it to investments requires zero lifestyle adjustment, zero sacrifice, zero resistance, because your brain never got the memo that the money was now free. $320 a month invested for 20 years at 7% average return is over $200,000. From a car payment that ended, from money you were already used to not having, from zero change in how your life feels day to day. And this compounds every time any payment ends. Gym membership, subscription, old loan, anything that stops, redirect immediately. Never let the lifestyle inflate to absorb it. This one trick, applied consistently, is how a lot of quietly wealthy people built their net worth without ever feeling like they were sacrificing anything. Let me show you what these 7 tricks look like compounded over time, starting from wherever you are right now. Month 1, separate account opened, $20 rule started. Round number trick running? Small amounts, but started. The habit exists. Month 3, $400 in the separate account. Debt snowball attacking the smallest balance? First debt? Gone. The win is real. The momentum is real. Month 6, old debt payment redirected. Phantom payment now going to investments. Emergency fund hitting $1,000. Investment account open? The system is running. Year 1, total saved and invested? Around $6,000. Not life-changing on its own, but one debt eliminated, monthly automation running, the psychological relationship with money completely different. Year 5, consistent automation, compound growth running, total $35,000 from the same income, from habits, not heroics. Year 20, if these redirected amounts average $300 a month invested, over $280,000 from tricks, not sacrifices. The math isn't the point. The point is that none of these 7 tricks require more money. They don't require a raise. They don't require a better job. They don't require cutting everything you enjoy. They require a different relationship with the money you already have. A system that works with your brain instead of against it. That's it. That's the whole thing. Not strategies, not complex systems. Tricks. that work because of how your brain actually works. None of these require more money. None of them require perfect discipline. None of them require you to be good with money. They just require starting one of them today, not next month.
The people who are quietly doing well financially didn't find better income. They found better habits. And habits start small. They start imperfect. They start with $5 and a separate account and a round number in a checking account. Drop a comment with which trick you're starting today. Just one, the specific one. Because saying it makes it real. And real is where it begins.